Good morning. My name is the Reverend Jake Joseph, and I'm coming to you this morning from the third meeting house built in 1830 of First Congregational Church of Guilford, Connecticut, where I serve as the associate minister. Before coming to Connecticut in 2019, I had the privilege of serving for 5 years on the staff of Plymouth Congregational UCC in my hometown of Fort Collins, Colorado, alongside your now interim minister, the Reverend Dr. Mark Lee. Growing up in northern Colorado, I have spent a lot of time exploring the Black Hills of western South Dakota. And I have to say, one of my sister and my very favorite destinations as kids was the Flintstones campground in Custer. We have great memories from there. I hope some of you may remember it. Thank you to Mark and your whole congregation in Rapid City for having me here in your virtual pulpit this morning. Will you be with me in prayer? May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all of our hearts, near and far away, be good in your sight, O God, our rock and our Redeemer. As someone who spends a lot of time, as you may imagine, in religious settings, I pay close attention to how Christians are portrayed in popular culture and literature. It is always so interesting, as a professional mirror of sorts. There are many sermons and speeches in popular culture, in books and television and movies, with religious figures making proclamations or ethical pronouncements. Many of them are not so flattering or endearing, like Salem's congregational Reverend Paris in The Crucible, who doesn't have much of anything nice to say about anyone else, and nobody really seems to like Reverend Paris either. Others are just silly or comic, like the minister in the 1987 film The Princess Bride, whose marriage sermon is a pop culture favorite depiction of ministers at weddings. Do you know how often that sermon from The Princess Bride comes up in premarital counseling for other millennial couples? Every single time. That is how powerful the popular culture influence can be for a whole generation on the perception of the church. Then occasionally, there is a lesson that resonates so deeply, so truly, that the song or sermon or the good word from a pop culture minister or religious figure speaks through time, across generations and difference, to a real deeper truth. One of my favorite examples of a pop culture sermon, which I believe resonates deeply for our times and especially for Transfiguration Sunday, comes from the 1965 film adaptation of Roger Hammerstein's The Sound of Music, starring the one and only Julie Andrews. Have any of you seen it? I imagine so. It is a movie set, like the passage in the Bible for this morning, with dramatic metaphoric landscape, revelations, and in the mountains of transformation. In this classic musical, it opens with a young nun of the Nunberg Abbey in Salzburg, named Maria, played by Andrews, dancing freely through an alpine meadow high above the mountain peaks. Singing loudly, the hills are alive with the sound of music. She is devoted to God, but the life of religious cloister and isolation, not working out so well for her. She is lonely. Even her dance on the mountaintop was officially verboten. This leads the nuns at the abbey to sing a chorus which asks, "How do you solve a problem like Maria? How do you catch a cloud and pin it down?" Finally, the wise Mother Abbess, the lead minister, if you will, of the community, sings a song which I believe is a sermon for Maria. It is also a sermon for us today on this mountaintop, Transfiguration Sunday. She sings, "Climb every mountain, search high and low, follow every byway, every path you know. Climb every mountain, ford every stream. Follow every rainbow till you find your dream, a dream that will need all the love you can give, every day of your life, as long as you live." In this sermon song, Climb Every Mountain, after Maria's experience on the mountaintop, we are offered the metaphor of the mountaintop journey to a place of belonging, family, home, and wholeness. I don't think it's an accident that the imagery of climbing a mountain was used by the wise Mother Abbess to mean seeking transformation of faith, self, truth, and reality. She suggests that the journey of life is to make every effort, no matter how hard. Fording a river, remember, is no picnic. To find something or someone to love. For some of us on the climb of life, that might be the journey to self-love. And for others, it might be finding a place of home to love. As the movie continues, as Maria finds a family, as culture and trust are tested in the early days of World War II, and as people transform for better and worse, it is Maria's rootedness in the Song of the Mountain, the metaphor of the climb with Christ offered by the Mother Abbess, that sustains and guides her. The director, Robert Weiss, hints at this song being the core, the center point message of the movie, in that it comes back as the closing chorus right before the credits, as the family escapes World War II Austria by climbing over the Alps together. Climb every mountain, ford every stream, follow every rainbow until you find your dream. A dream that will need, she warns, all the love you can give every day of your life, as long as you live. It is immediately after the transfiguration, hiking with his favorite disciples, that Jesus turns the narrative towards Jerusalem and his destiny. From this point roughly onward, the road shifts toward a horizon of forever. This is the pivot point for a different journey ahead. Jesus reveals his true, dazzling, fabulous, shiny self, and his invisible companions, the prophets of old, who were probably always along with him, also make themselves seen. And how do the disciples respond to the mountaintop moment? They are terrified. Yes, Scripture says that, but they also don't want to leave. Interesting. It's a dual response to finding the mountaintop: terror and wonder. Rabbi, it's good for us to be here. Let us make 3 dwelling places, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. They are ready to set up camp and stay there. They want to stay. They want to hold on to the transfixing moment. There is no intention that they want to go back down the mountain. Maybe they aren't sure what they'll find when they get back down to the valley, or who they will even be after the mountain. So they'd rather build a tent city and keep their love revealed for their very own. We know from the end of the passage, like with Maria's opening scene, Dance on the Mountaintop, that they just can't stay up there forever. Life is never static. As suddenly as the apparition starts, Jesus goes back to wearing his regular street clothes, and the ancient prophets vanish before their eyes as quickly as they appeared. But the shift in perspective remains. They can never unsee what they have witnessed. We always think that the transfiguration refers to what happened to Jesus on the mountain. But this year, I think it's about what happened to the disciples. The disciples are the ones transfigured in perspective. Transfiguration, or Transformation Sunday as it might be translated, is one of my favorite Sundays of the year for us in the United Church of Christ, because it takes us out of our comfort zone. We are really good at Jesus as shaman and teacher, example, historical Jesus, and the parts of faith that take reliable study. Today's passage, however, is about going deeper with God, looking for the mystical and the magical and the question mark spaces. Today we think about the times and places that offer us a sense of authentic relationship with a transformation God. While it could be a church building, or a visit to the ocean, or a spring day out on the prairie, or a meditation deep within, I understand why Throughout the biblical narrative, like in The Sound of Music, the transformation perspective, life-giving new visions of hope, often come from the mountaintop. Growing up in Colorado, I spent a lot of time exploring the Rocky Mountains, the Grand Tetons of Wyoming, the Black Hills of South Dakota. The stillness and presence of the sacred mountains resonate with me. I find that connection also here in the ancient, brooding granite mountains of Connecticut. Last summer, when almost all I could do was go hiking, I found that same transformative experience at the top of Sleeping Giant Mountain on a perfect October day, or after a long summer hike up Mohawk Mountain. Elevated spaces, whether in person or in metaphor, no matter how tall or how old, in the Bible often contain a sense of the closeness to God. But after the hike, after the new perspective, after any experience of closeness to God on a mountaintop or in our own homes or in our churches, then the real work begins. The disciples are not permitted to build a tent city for the sacred and just camp out. There are no s'mores. There's no baked beans. Shucks, Jesus doesn't even want a tent. Climb every mountain, ford every stream, follow every rainbow till you find your dream, and then the real work begins. A dream that will need all the love you can give every day of your life for as long as you live. I believe that the coronavirus time has been a year of pause on the mountaintop, of transfiguration of who we are and what our roles are in life and our sense of the sacred. For better, new ways of connecting and rethinking old patterns, and for worse. In many ways, it was and is terrifying. We all see things much more clearly for what they are and differently now. And it's now probably time to start heading back down the mountain and take what we have learned and transform it into a new normal on our way to Jerusalem with Christ. All the love you can give every day of your life for as long as you live. Here's the point of all of this today. We all have, no matter our hiking ability, because of the profound and unexpected nature of this past year, experienced transfiguration since this time last February. On the verge of a full year of pandemic, we have been transformed in the concurrent wonder and terror of it all. Like the disciples, it contains both terror and stunning new visions of God. Transfiguration, as the text shows, and as Mother Abbess warns in her song, is both beautiful and inspiring and terrifying. My takeaway from this text is that while the experience of watching their friend transform magically into a Greek-style demigod and the ancient ghosts of the prophets appearing around them was terrifying, it was also beautiful. So beautiful that they never wanted to really leave. This past year has been like a giant transfiguration of our lives and perspectives. We see things ourselves, our country, our families, our congregations, our relationships, and maybe even our own capacities and abilities, limitations, mortality in new ways. But by golly, we made it a full year. And it was terrifying and it was horrible, like getting caught on a lightning storm in a mountain, but also filled with awe and beauty. Beauty and terror. And we will never be the same again. Mother Abbess shares a final sermon to the young Maria before sending her off to live as a nanny in the Von Trapp household. In it, she shares a traditional biblical image as old as time of the mountain climb, looking for our destiny for truth, for God. In this pop culture song is so much of the truth of the transfiguration we have experienced in ourselves and in the divine spirit at work in our world over this past year. How have you changed? and what new visions of God have emerged for you. It was terrifying. It has moments of unspeakable beauty and peace. Now, how will we give what is emerging all of the love we can give every day of our lives as long as we live? Climb every mountain, ford every stream, follow every rainbow till you find your dream. A dream that will need all the love you can give every day of your life for as long as you live. Climb every mountain, ford every stream, follow every rainbow till you find your dream. And then don't ever let go.